Have you ever seen a pistol jam so hard it looks like it's trying to swallow its own slide? I have. And it was a micro 9mm loaded with the wrong kind of ammo. See these little firecrackers, your P365s, Hellcats, G43Xs, they're modern marvels, pocket-sized muscle. But they've got one dirty secret: they're picky eaters. And if you shove the wrong load into that tiny chamber, you might end up with a paperweight instead of a lifesaver. We're not talking theory here. We're talking real-world failures. FTFs, FTEs feed ramp faceplants from ammo that just doesn't play nice with compact pistols. And if your life depends on that trigger pull, one bad cartridge could cost you more than a range day. So let's break it down. I'm going to show you which 9mm loads are notorious for choking in micro pistols and why some bullets are better left on the shelf. There's something seductive about budget hollow points. The box says self-defense. The price tag says grab two, and the bullets look like tiny silver goblets of death. But when you stuff them into a micro-compact pistol, things can go downhill fast. I've seen more feeding issues from cheap hollow point loads than any other ammo type in small frame pistols. The reason comes down to two words: inconsistency and geometry. Budget JHPs like Cellier and Bellet 115GR, Pervy Partisan 124GR, and some of the Monarch brand hollow points often have wide, abrupt cavities and uneven jacket profiles. That's a problem for guns like the Kimber Micro-9 or the Sig P365, which rely on short, sharply angled feed ramps and tight chamber tolerances. Feed ramps don't like sudden transitions. A soft, round-nose FMJ glides into battery. A blunt, wide-mouthed hollow point with a rough jacket can hit the ramp like a square peg into a round hole. The result is failure to feed half-chambered rounds or a slide that locks up mid-cycle. It's not just theory. Kimber owners have reported consistent FTFs using generic JHPs on forums like 1911 Addicts and SigTalk. A Langley Outdoors test showed cheaper hollow points jamming every 15-20 rounds in a subcompact Springfield. The real problem is that the average shooter often trusts the hollow point equals good assumption. But cheap doesn't equal carry-worthy. That's why premium loads like Federal HST 124GE or Speer Gold Dot 124GR exist. They cost more because they feed like butter, even in guns with aggressive feed angles. If your carry gun's feeding system is already working within millimeters of clearance, throwing a rough-edged bargain bin hollow point into the mix is like putting square wheels on a race cart. Technically possible, functionally dumb. 115-grain full metal jacket rounds are everywhere. They're cheap, easy to find, and most of us have shot thousands of them. But in the world of micro-compacts, that lightweight bullet can turn into a heavyweight problem. Micro-pistols like the Hellcat Glock 43X and Ruger Max 9 rely on precise timing between slide movement and recoil spring resistance. The problem with many 115GR FMJ loads, especially low-powered ones like Blazer Brass, 115GR Winchester White Box, and Remington UMC, is that they sometimes don't generate enough recoil force to cycle the slide fully. You get sluggish slide velocity. The slide might not go far enough back to fully eject the spent casing, or it might return forward too softly, failing to strip the next round cleanly. That means stovepipe's failure to eject or partial chambering, all from a round that's technically working but not working hard enough. This is especially common in dirty guns or pistols with tight recoil springs or added optics weight on the slide. And it's worse in colder weather where powder burn rates can shift slightly. Add it up, and a few weak 115s can turn a defensive pistol into a malfunction simulator. That's why many experienced shooters prefer 124GR shears or even 147GR FMJ for practice and carry in compact pistols. Heavier bullets tend to produce more recoil impulse at similar pressures, resulting in more reliable cycling. It's not about power, it's about momentum. So, while 115GR FMJ might be fine for full-size Glocks or Berettas, your slim-frame carry piece needs something with a bit more oomph. Think of it like fueling a truck with lawnmower gas. It'll sputter. And sputtering is not an option when your pistol is your last line of defense. Some bullets glide. Others grind. Flat-nose FMJ is one of those that grinds, especially in compact pistols where every millimeter matters. These rounds might work fine in a Beretta M9 or Glock 17, but when you try running them through a micro pistol with a short throat and a steep feed ramp, things get ugly fast. Imagine pushing a cardboard box up a staircase instead of using a ramp. That's what your feed system deals with when chambering a flat-nosed bullet. It hits hard angles, catches on edges, and bounces instead of sliding. Magtech 115 GOR flat nose is a perfect example. In range reports from Ruger EC9s and Taurus GX4 users, it's been linked to a significant rise in failure to feed and nosedives in the mag. The problem is geometry. The flat me-plat bullet tip offers no contour to assist with the feeding arc, on a compact frame that turns into a misfeed waiting to happen. And this isn't limited to budget ammo. Even quality reloads using semi-wad cutter or truncated cone designs can trip up a micro-compact's timing and angle. Contrast that with traditional round-nose FMJ like Federal American Eagle 124 GRs. Those bullets roll forward into the chamber like they're meant to be there. Smooth, consistent, reliable. So, unless you're specifically testing a flat nose design for accuracy on a full-size barrel, you might want to keep those blocky bullets away from your carry gun, because the only time a flat-nosed projectile should jam is in a paper shredder. Imagine your slide slamming back like it's trying to eject the soul out of your pistol. That's what happens when you fire plus P or plus P plus ammo in a micro-compact that wasn't built for it. Extra pressure means extra velocity. Sounds great on paper. More penetration, deeper cavitation, harder hitting shots. But when you cram a plus P round like Buffalo Bore 124 GMR JHP or Winchester Ranger T plus P plus into a pistol like the Ruger LC9s or the Sig P365, you start overclocking the entire system. Suddenly your slide is unlocked too early. The recoil spring can't slow it down fast enough. Cases get yanked out too fast, leading to stovepipes or violent ejection. Sometimes the next round chambers too soon or not at all. This isn't hypothetical. In long-term use reports, micro-compacts firing plus P loads have shown accelerated wear on internal rails, cracked guide rods, and even deformed locking blocks. Not from faulty parts, but from sustained recoil energy that exceeds design tolerances. Sure, manufacturers say plus P rated. That means it won't blow up. It doesn't mean it'll run happy forever. Some shooters report perfect function with hotter rounds in microframes. But many more report decreased control, sharper recoil, and cycling glitches that only show up under stress. And if that stress is a real-life fight, guess what? Your slide doesn't get a second chance. Plus P ammo has a place in duty pistols, full-size Glocks, maybe even compact CZs. But in a gun that disappears inside your waistband and weighs less than your phone, you're trading controllability and reliability for marginal gains in terminal ballistics. And in a fight, reliability always wins. A guy on Glock Talk once shared how his Sig P365 nearly blew up during a casual range session. No crazy drills, no suppressed fire. Just cheap reloads he picked up from a table at a local gun show. One round fired, the next went click. He racked it and out came an empty case. No bullet, no powder, just a primer pop. That was a squib. The bullet was lodged halfway down the barrel. If he hadn't noticed and pulled the trigger again, that little P365 would have split like a hot dog on a grill. That's the risk with reloads. Handloads and remanufactured ammo are a wild mix of good intentions and bad tolerances. You're trusting that someone with no QA department, no chrono data, and possibly a worn-out press is producing safe, consistent ammunition for a gun that has zero margin for error. Micro-compacts don't have forgiving tolerances. Their short barrels, tight chambers, and stiff recoil systems demand consistency. A slightly weak powder charge, misfire. A slightly long OAL failure to go into battery. Primer seated a hair too deep. Light strike. I've seen Freedom Munitions remanufactured ammo fail to cycle cleanly in Hellcats and G43Xs. Not because the guns are bad, but because they're precise and the ammo isn't. Reloads are fine for full-size Glocks at the range. You'll get away with it 99 out of 100 times. But when you're carrying a micro pistol for self-defense, that one time matters. There's no warranty on someone else's powder scale. If you didn't load it yourself and test it across at least 3 magazines, don't trust it in a life-saving roll. You're not shooting paper, you're betting your life. Steel-cased ammo is like canned chili. It'll fill you up, it'll save you money, and it'll probably give you some regrets later. Micro pistols, boom, and steel cases are a bad mix, and it starts with the basic science of expansion. Brass expands and contracts quickly under heat and pressure. Steel doesn't. So when you fire a steel-cased round like Tula 115GR FMJ or Wolf Military Classic in a tight-chambered compact like a Glock 43 or a Sig P365, the case sticks. Not always, but often enough to matter. You get extraction resistance, you get stovepipes, you get double feeds. And because steel doesn't seal as well against the chamber walls, you also get more carbon fouling, which builds up faster in tiny guns with little room to breathe. Then there's the lacquer coating. Many steel rounds come coated in polymer or lacquer to prevent rust. That's fine for a VPAR or an AK, but in a micro 9mm, after a few quick mags, that stuff can bake off and gunk up the chamber, especially under heat. The result? Malfunctions that seem random until you realize the problem's not the pistol. It's the diet. Sure, steel-cased ammo is cheap, but so is a toaster. That doesn't mean you should carry one for personal protection. If your gun's your lifeline, feed it something made for precision, not price. Brass-cased, boxer-primed, clean-burning ammo is the standard for a reason. You wouldn't fuel a Porsche with tractor diesel. Same goes for your carry gun. Most shooters never think about OAL overall length when choosing ammo. And why would they? It's not listed in big letters on the box. But for micro-compact pistols, OAL can be the difference between a clean chamber and a slide that slams halfway and freezes like it hit a brick wall. Some modern loads are built long. Not wrong, just long. Ammo like Norma MHP 108 GR, Browning BXP 147 GR JHP, and certain G9 defense rounds are designed with full-size pistols, OMI, and optimal expansion in mind. That often means longer bullets, deeper seating, and a higher OAL. In a compact with a shallow chamber and steep ramp, like the P365 or the Kimber Micro-9, these rounds sometimes don't go fully into battery. The slide closes almost, but not quite, leaving the gun in a deadlock. Pull the trigger and nothing happens. It's not about bad ammo, it's about mismatches. These loads often run perfectly in G19s, CZ Piezo 7s, or M&P compacts, but Micro-9s aren't scaled-down versions. They're completely different mechanical animals with far less forgiveness. The worst part you won't know until you shoot it. The first 5 might run, the 6th hangs, the 7th locks you out completely. So, if you're carrying boutique or specialty ammo, take a pair of calipers to it. Measure OAL. Compare it to what your gun likes. Better yet, test a full box at the range. Because in the world of carry pistols, fractions of an inch can decide everything. Micro-compact pistols are engineering triumphs, but they come with zero room for compromise. What they gain in concealability, they demand back in precision, and that applies not just to your trigger press, but to every single round you load. Understanding ammo isn't just about ballistics or energy charts. It's about knowing how mechanical systems respond to variables you can't always see on the surface. Weight, shape, pressure, case material. All of it matters when your barrel is under 3 inches and your slide weighs less than your phone. The truth is, reliability isn't luck. It's attention to detail. So, take a closer look at what you carry, challenge the assumptions, check the specs, and most of all, shoot smart. If you got value from this breakdown, hit the like button, maybe share it with someone who carries daily. Got questions or war stories? Drop them in the comments, stay sharp, and I'll see you in the next one.